Right now, you probably have debt, or you know someone who does. A friend who can't stop using the credit card, a parent who remortgaged the house, a cousin who took out a loan for something he definitely didn't need and definitely can't pay back. And if you don't have debt right now, you've had it, or you're about to. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. The feeling you get when you swipe that card, sign that loan, or tell yourself, I'll pay it back next month, that feeling is not a modern problem. It is not a you problem. It is not even this generation problem. It is the oldest financial mistake in human history. And every single civilization that has ever existed, from ancient Mesopotamia to the Roman Empire to the United States of America, has made it, in the exact same order, with the exact same consequences. And the terrifying part? Not one of them saw it coming. So if you think debt is just something that happens to people who are bad with money, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to realize that the system was designed to put you here, and it has been designed that way for 5,000 years.
The first debt in human history. It didn't start with banks. It started with grain. Let me take you back 5,000 years. You are a farmer in ancient Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. You have a small plot of land. You grow barley. Life is simple but fragile because everything depends on the harvest. Then, one year, the harvest fails, not because you did anything wrong. A dry season, a flood, bad luck. But your family still needs to eat. Your children are still hungry. And the powerful temple in your city, the religious and economic center of your entire world, has grain stored in its warehouses. So you do what any desperate person does. You go and you ask for help. The temple gives you the grain, but not for free. You will pay it back after the next harvest, with interest. In ancient Sumerian, the word for interest was mash, which also meant calf, because just like a calf grows from a cow, debt grows from debt. They knew. 5,000 years ago, they already knew exactly what debt does. And you took the grain anyway, because what choice did you have? This is the oldest debt contract ever recorded. Clay tablets found in the ruins of ancient Sumer, dating back to 3000 BC, are filled with loan agreements, grain borrowed, silver owed, interest calculated, payments missed. 5,000 years ago, people were already lying awake at night worrying about money they didn't have. The clay tablet changed, the anxiety didn't.
The pattern that repeats every single time. Here is what happens in every civilization, without exception. It starts with something reasonable. Someone needs resources they don't have. Someone else has a surplus. A deal is made. The borrower gets what they need today. The lender gets more back tomorrow. Both parties walk away thinking they won. And in the beginning, they both did win. Ancient Rome built aqueducts, roads in an empire partly on credit. Merchants borrowed to fund trade voyages. Farmers borrowed to buy land. The system worked because growth was real and the debts could actually be repaid. But then something shifts. It always shifts. Because once borrowing becomes normal, once debt stops being an emergency solution and starts being a lifestyle, the psychology changes. You stop borrowing because you have to. You start borrowing because you can, because the money is there, because everyone else is doing it, because paying later feels almost the same as not paying at all. And this is where every generation makes the same mistake. They confuse access to money with actually having money. A Roman merchant in 50 AD with a line of credit from a moneylender felt wealthy. An American in 2005 with a $400,000 mortgage and 3 credit cards felt wealthy. A university student in 2024 with a $50,000 student loan and a buy now, pay later app on his phone feels wealthy. None of them were wealthy. They were all borrowing against a future that hadn't happened yet. And they were all absolutely certain that the future would cooperate. It usually doesn't.
The story of Rome and the debt it couldn't escape. Let me tell you about a Roman soldier named Marcus. Marcus served in the legions for 25 years. He fought in campaigns across 3 continents. He survived things most people today cannot imagine. And when he was discharged, Rome gave him a plot of land in the Italian countryside as his reward. Marcus was proud of that land. It was his. He had earned it. But farming is hard, and the first year the crops failed. Marcus borrowed from a local moneylender to buy seed for the next season. He would pay it back when the harvest came in. Simple, logical, a practical solution to a temporary problem. Except the next harvest was also poor. So he borrowed again, and slowly, not dramatically, not in a single catastrophic moment, but slowly, the debt grew larger than the land was worth. And one morning, Marcus woke up and realized that the land he had bled for, the land that was supposed to be his security and dignity, belonged to the moneylender. This story was so common in ancient Rome that it had a name: debt bondage, the process by which free citizens became effectively enslaved to their creditors. It happened so often and created so much social tension that in 326 BC, nearly 2,400 years ago, Rome passed a law called the Lex Potelia Papiria, specifically to address it. The law abolished the practice of using your own body as collateral for debt, because before that law, if you couldn't repay, the lender could legally claim you as a slave. Think about that the next time you miss a credit card payment. The mechanism is different. The feeling is older than you can imagine.
The medieval version, same trap, different costume. Fast forward 1,000 years. Medieval Europe, the feudal system is in full operation, and the Catholic Church, the most powerful institution on the continent, has officially declared that charging interest on loans is a sin. They called it usury. It was considered morally equivalent to theft. Sounds protective, right? It wasn't, because someone still needed to lend money. Kings needed to fund wars, merchants needed to fund voyages, peasants needed to survive bad harvests. The demand for credit didn't disappear because the church said it was sinful. It just went underground. And this is where it gets fascinating, because the people who filled the gap, the people who became the primary lenders across medieval Europe, did so not by choice, but by exclusion. Jewish communities, banned from owning land and excluded from most trades and guilds, found that money lending was one of the few economic activities available to them. So they lent, and they became indispensable. Kings borrowed from Jewish financiers to fund crusades. Nobles borrowed to maintain their estates. Merchants borrowed to expand their businesses. The entire economic engine of medieval Europe ran on credit provided by people that the same society officially despised. And then, when the debts became inconvenient, the borrowers found a more efficient solution than repayment. England expelled its Jewish population in 1290, France in 1306, Spain in 1492. In each case, the expulsion conveniently cancelled the debts owed to Jewish lenders. The oldest debt restructuring program in history. Borrow, benefit, blame, expel, repeat. The debt didn't disappear. The obligation to repay it did. And an entire class of people paid the price for a financial system that had used them and then discarded them. This is not ancient history. This is the template. The names change, the mechanism doesn't.
Your generation and the debt nobody warned you about. Now, let me bring this home, because I'm not telling you this history to make you feel informed. I'm telling you because it is happening again, right now, to your generation, in a form so normalized that most people don't even recognize it as debt. Student loans that take 20 years to repay for degrees that the market has decided are worth less than the paper they're printed on. Mortgages that require 2 incomes and 30 years of payments for a house that your parents bought on 1 salary in their 20s. Buy now, pay later services on your phone that let you split the cost of a jacket into 4 payments, because somewhere between the invention of credit cards and the invention of the smartphone, the fashion industry figured out how to get inside the debt system. Credit card interest rates averaging 22% in the United States right now. 22%. The money lenders of ancient Sumer charged between 20 and 33% on grain in 3000 BC. 5,000 years of financial innovation, and the interest rate is roughly the same. And here is the part that should make you genuinely angry. None of this happened by accident. The system that puts a credit card in the hands of a 22-year-old with no income history and charges them 22% interest was designed. The student loan system that gives 18-year-olds access to $50,000 before they understand compound interest was designed. The mortgage system that requires 30 years of payments was designed. Not designed by villains sitting in dark rooms, designed by incentives, by the fact that your debt is someone else's asset, by the fact that the entire financial system profits from you borrowing and struggles when you don't. The Sumerian temple needed you to borrow grain. The medieval moneylender needed you to borrow silver. The modern bank needs you to borrow dollars. The product changed. The need for your debt never did.
Why every generation thinks they are different. And here is the cruelest part of all of this. Every generation thinks they have a reason that makes their debt different, justified, manageable, temporary. The Roman farmer thought, it's just one bad harvest. I'll be fine next season. The medieval noble thought, I need this loan to fund the campaign. Once I win, the spoils will cover everything. The American homeowner in 2005 thought, property always goes up. I'll refinance in 2 years. This is just how you build wealth. The student in 2024 thinks, once I get the job, the loan is easy to pay off. Everyone does this. It's an investment in my future. Every single one of them was telling themselves a story about a future that would fix the present. And some of them were right. Some debts do get repaid. Some bets on the future do pay off. But the ones who were wrong, the ones whose future didn't cooperate, didn't just lose money. They lost the thing the debt was supposed to protect. The farmer lost the land. The noble lost the estate. The homeowner lost the house. The student loses the decade.
I want to end with something honest. I'm not telling you never to borrow. Debt is a tool. And like any tool, it can build things or destroy things, depending on how you use it and whether you understand what you're holding. But most people don't understand what they're holding, because the system that profits from your debt spends billions of dollars every year making sure that borrowing feels normal, feels safe, feels like just what adults do. 5,000 years ago, a desperate farmer in Mesopotamia picked up a clay tablet and pressed his mark into it because he had no other choice. You have more choices than he did, but only if you understand the game you're playing, because the game is 5,000 years old, and it has never once been designed for you to win.